Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen will be the pairs that I'll be analyzing today, but try to make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be breaking down each pair, recapping what happened this week, and obviously forecasting for the week ahead. But for all that said, guys, hope you enjoy the video. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so first up, like always, we've got Euro USD. So for this week, we actually saw a pretty strong move to the upside. Price broke through the resistance we were looking at the start of the week. And I said, as long as we do stay below this, I'll be bearish on Euro USD, looking for this one to roll over. But I believe we opened up the market around about here, and we just stormed through that level. And I did say to you guys, a nice break and retest, and we can look for those longs into this level here. But unfortunately, we did not get that break and retest. Prices flew to the upside, formed some structure higher up, didn't come back and retest that level, unfortunately. But we did see some nice upside momentum, and it has just about hit that level at 1.07600 just before the weekly candle close. So for Euro USD, I do still expect more upside. I do have second targets up here where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tests of this level before we did see a really big dump to the downside, and this is where the real momentum came from. So I do think Euro USD can get up to that level again where we're trading very strong higher time frame level. Was expecting price to take out this wick here, but it looks like we might see some more upside beforehand. But we still are trading in this monthly zone, so as long as we can hold that, we could probably see a lot more upside. Again, the market is still bearish long term, but we definitely could see a deeper bullish correction, which I think we're seeing now. So coming into next week, looking for some more long opportunities if we can get that retracement I'm looking for. Two areas I am looking for opportunities for Euro USD. Number one being this higher low formed here during the week. If we can get some nice wicks into here, some strong candlestick signals, we can look to buy from this level, or preferably speaking, if we can come a little bit deeper and retest that level, which we did do this week, come back and retest it, use it as support. You can see it was resistance across here, nice fake out there, resistance again, and never came back to retest it. So if we do see a deep retracement, longs from there, we're looking good. But like I said, my targets are of that second level up there at 1.09, 160 we'll call it. First targets will obviously have to be this resistance here again, because price could come up there and obviously come back down. So those highs there, that level will be the first target, 1.07600. But if we can break through that, second target's there, and I do think we'll see some more dollar weakness. We did see a lot last week, and it does look like, well, this week actually, and it does look like we could continue into next week as well. But these are the opportunities that I'm looking at for Euro, so I hope we can get some retracement for next week. And looking at the higher lows, either from 1.06655 or 1.05698 from there. So I'm looking for longs for next week for Euro USD. Okay, so next up, USD JPY. So for this pair, mainly some corrective bearish momentum this week. I was actually looking for price to head higher this week for USD JPY, since we were holding onto this key level here. But the market did break through, and as you can see, it's holding underneath as resistance, and it's still kind of forming those lower highs. You can see on the 4H, those lower swing highs in the market, and obeying this trend line here as well. So this pair has been very choppy recently, as you can see, but it's slowly moving lower, and if it does stay underneath this level 127,500 and that trend line as well, I do think we can drop lower into 125, which is this previous high here, before we did see some strong momentum breaking through that. So if we do stay below that level, not necessarily trend line we could maybe manipulate a little bit, but the main thing I'm looking at is that level. The trend line is just adding extra confluence to the trade. But if we can stay below that level, looking for USD to make that next leg to the downside into 125. But if we do break above that trend line, and especially if we do break above that level 127,500, then the bullish momentum that I was expecting to come into this week, I think will be coming back into next week, and we can see some nice upside. I wouldn't look for highs straight away. This is a nice key level that I'll be looking at, which is 129,600. So I'll be looking at this type of opportunity here. Potentially could push the highs, but obviously better to be safe than sorry and take it step by step, because we have seen some really strong corrective behavior. But if we do break through this, then yeah, I would expect price to go back to highs. But for next week, we'll just look at 129,630. So that is the plan for USD corrective bearish trend here. If that continues, we probably will make that next leg into 125. So coming into next week, keep an eye on price action in this area here. See if you can throw some more wicks, some more lower highs in the lower time frames, 1H or whatever time frame you look to enter. And then if we stay below that level, look for those shorts, and then 125 will be a nice target to have. If we just see price break through that, then obviously we'll look to flip the bias and then targets into down break and retest of 127,500. So yeah, that will be the plan for next week for USD JPY. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD, again, more downside for this pair. I was looking for the market to break out of its consolidation to the upside for some long. So I was looking for price to break through this resistance, look for the break and retest, and then for some longs. But all we had really for USD CAD was just mainly consolidation. Market wicked higher, so faked higher for that move, and then actually did roll over to the downside. So USD CAD still on this kind of choppy bearish trend, and it failed to continue that bullish momentum, which I was expecting price to do. So with this new price action here, we are coming to some support, but I do think we'll probably drop a little bit lower coming into this area here at 1.265, because originally I was looking for the market to have a break and retest of this level and then see the bullish momentum, but it formed a higher low above that level. So this level is still untested, and I do think that's probably where we're going for USD CAD for next week. So hopefully you can find some retracement and then a push back down into that level is what I'll be looking for USD CAD. We are seeing some strong bearish candlesticks on the weekly, and it's the likelihood the momentum will continue into next week as well. So hopefully you can find some retracement, so some upside at the start of the week, and then second half of the week or whenever we can get an opportunity to short the pair, we'll look to take advantage of that and a push back down to this level here at 126,500, we'll call it. So hopefully you can get a pullback on this one, because there's a chance where it might just dump to the downside without that pullback. But if we do get the pullback, we'll be looking for some shorts here at 1.28, nice psychological level as well. And then yeah, shorts back down to 1.26500. So that is the plan for next week. There might be some nice buys from here, but I would have to see what type of price action we can get before, you know, start entertaining any buy ideas. But right now, focus on the sells. Hopefully you can get some nice retracement into 1.28 and shorts back down into 1.26500 for USD CAD. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you're finding it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so up next we've got Euro Pound. So Euro Pound still above that weekly trend line. If I just draw that back in for you guys, as you can see, we're still trading above that, and the breakout is still on. I do have some question marks for Euro Pound for this breakout, because we are throwing some wicks to the upside here in the weekly, and normally when we do get a breakout, especially after consolidation like this, well, technically it isn't consolidating because it is moving down, but very, very corrective behavior to the downside here. Normally the breakout is very, very impulsive, and you can see we are slowing down here. So although that we still are, you know, trading above the trend line, I do have some question marks, and I feel we could maybe creep back below. And if we do creep back below and see a close below this trend line, I do believe Euro Pound is going to melt to the downside, because now we've grabbed a liquidity above that, the fake out, and then, you know, after that we do expect to see some downside. But I'm not going to let my thoughts, you know, distract me from what price is doing right now, which is breaking through that trend line and retesting. So as long as we stay above, I do have a bullish bias, but I will be prepared, you know, to change that bias if we do start seeing some downside below that trend line. So the market right now, like I said to you guys last week, is still trading above this level. So I do have a bullish bias and we'll be looking from longs from this level on the daily here. Hopefully get a nice break and retest early in the week, see what price does. If it does see some nice momentum and then fails again, then yeah, we most likely will get below. But if we can see some bullish momentum sustain, get some higher lows going, then we can see that bigger breakout we're looking for. And if that breakout does happen, then up there will be the long-term targets. Let me just make that thicker for you guys. Up there will be the long-term targets. But again, that's another target for another video. But right now, this is what I'm focused on. If we can stay above that level, longs will be looking good for euro pound and targets right back at the highs. If not, and we get below, look for the break and retest, and we could be looking at some sells back down to this key level here. That's if it is a false break. But since we are trading above, I'm focused on the buys, and as soon as the bias fails, that's when I look to change my bias rather than trying to anticipate anything and let things that are not actually there distract from the actual trading. So still have bullish structures, still holding above the trend line, still getting that break and retest. So looking for the retest of that daily level at 0.84700 and targets all up there at 0.86 for next week for euro pound. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to AUD USD. So for this pair this week, had a bearish bias, looking for the market to head lower. This is the level that I gave out this week for AUD. We did hold into that for pretty much the whole week until Friday. We did eventually break above that. So AUD, very, very choppy pair. You can see it's very corrective. Overall, most of the week, main consolidation below that level, but again, as you can see, the level did not hold. The market is trading above. So with this new momentum and price continuing this bullish structure in the 4H, I do think the market can head a little bit higher now. I'm looking on the weekly time frame, and this level up here is what is attracting my attention. We did have that big wick to the upside, grabbing liquidity above that high there. But if I draw a fib here, you can see 50% of that move is not far from that level. And I think the market is probably coming up there, equilibrium, kind of balance out the move, and then we could see some downside off the back of that level. So I do think for next week, we can still see some more bullish momentum into that level. And then that level up there could act as a great place for some sell opportunities. But we still do have, roughly around 100 pips to get there. So there probably will be some nice buys, before we do get the sells up at that level, of course. So AUD, we'll be looking at some long opportunities. Again, we had this level here, which I was focusing on for sells, will now be a good place for some longs, and also this price swing low here as well be a nice place for some long just above the 0.7. So we'll be looking for some long opportunities for AUD on the break and retest of that level, or if we do come back down a little bit, then again from that level there we'll be looking good for some longs as well. And then shorts up there, but I'm not too sure if we'll get onto that this week. But yeah, if we do, watch the price action around there. But obviously I'll need to see what's going on, because we could obviously break through the level. We don't have to reject that, but that is the plan for this week. More upside coming into those highs up there, strong supply, strong resistance level on the higher time frames as well, and we do have that 50% that the market could be attracted to. So looking for some more upside for AUD. Do again still expect some more dollar weakness, so that should fuel the move higher. And we do have two levels here which I'm looking at, which is 0.71 250 and 0.70 500 for AUD longs for next week. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD. So for this pair, we were expecting some upside into our higher time frame zone, which is this level on the weekly time frame. As you can see, some nice support, big false breakout again due to COVID there. And as you can see, the market is trading in that area. So we were looking for more upside into this zone, and you can see the market is trading at it, kind of moving sideways. So hasn't really reacted, strongly to that level. Buys are still holding firm with this bullish structure here in the 4H time frame. So we could still potentially roll over, but I wouldn't put it past NZD CAD breaking through. So we're going to see what happens in this area. Right now, a bit too indecisive for me to call shorts or longs right now. If this bullish structure does continue, then we probably will break through, and we can use that as support to push the market higher with targets at this kind of area here. Let me just draw that as a zone. makes a little bit more sense with targets here at 0.84, so the next psychological level past 0.83 makes a lot of sense. So NZD CAD, if you do break above, we can look for those longs, but if we do hold, then we'll try and wait for price to break through the trend line first before entering any shorts. And the trend line I'm looking at is this here. You can see one test, fake out, second, third, fourth test. So this trend line here, I'll wait for that trend line to break and then look for some shorts, mainly because price is still pushing to the upside with that structure. And even though if we do see a bearish engulfing here, price will still obviously rally through and break through that level. So this is what I'll be looking for NZD CAD. A push into 0.84 if we do break the high, but if we don't, we'll be looking for a lower high somewhere, and then again catching some shorts to the downside, and we can move all the way back down into these lows here, which is 0.809. But NZD CAD, if it does maintain that structure, I would favor price to break through. So yeah, it will take a lot of momentum for us to break through this, but if we do, we can get into those shorts and targets back down as lows. But either which way, you know, we can still find some good opportunities. Risk to reward obviously looks better to the downside, but you know, no doubt about it, a high probable trade if we can break the highs, and 0.84 will be the target. So that will be the plan for NZD CAD for the week ahead. Okay, so now on to pound NZD. So some nice downside this week, which was expected. Again, we are playing off that higher time frame kind of head and shoulder pattern, as you can see, the left, the head and the right, and we are looking for some strong downside momentum in the next few weeks or so, well, depending how long it takes to get there. But we do have targets all the way back down at this support, so we'll be looking at a push into this support for next week, 1.89. I'm not sure if we'll make it into that support by the end of next week, but you know, that is the target we're going to be working towards to. For this week, I was pointing out a push into this support, which the market didn't quite make as well, but I do think we'll move past that this week. So we'll be looking at 1.89, but this will be the first target here at 1.915. As you can see, strong support here, here and here. These are a couple of fakes out, big wicks. So this is really where the market is focusing on. And then if we can break through that, nice break and retest to go lower. But the main setup for the week was a break and retest of this level here, which we got. Very choppy price action, I have to admit, but the market is breaking through that and then got a lovely retest there during the week. So looking for more downside. If we can get another retest of this level, that'd be great, or another retest of the level from this week, that'd be great as well. But yeah, not really interested in any longs at all really for pound NZD. We might see some brief, you know, moves to the upside from those levels, but the shorts for me are most likely that the real move in the market and where the most pips will be you know, to catch. So that's the plan for the week ahead for I'll say NZD CAD. For pound NZD, 1.938 and also 1.947 will be the levels I'll be focusing on. Also break and retest of that as well if we don't get any retracement, but a push back down to 1.89 will be the plan for pound NZD for next week. Okay, so next up we've got CAD JPY, and as you can see, very choppy week from this one for CAD JPY. Again, did have a bearish bias for CAD JPY, looking for the market to come back into this support down here. As you can see, came pretty close to the lows, but then has snapped up since then. And you know, overall it's just very choppy, I'm not gonna lie, but we are still making lower highs, so I still do have a bearish bias. But because we are struggling to really push lower, we've had multiple attempts really to try and come back to these lows, and the market is still failing. It is building up for potential reversal to the upside. And when I mean reversal, I mean of this bearish trend here, so a continuation of the overall bullish trend. Does look like it is on the cards, but again, going to be dealing with the facts of the market. We're still below this trend line, market is still making those lower highs, and until we do see a break of structure, we'll have a short bias. So looks like we're coming back up into this zone here, trend line and that zone in the level of confluence. This is what I'll be eyeing up for CAD JPY coming into the start of the week. But if we rally through and break through that zone, then, you know, like I said, we'll be looking for the flip, break and retest, looking for the longs And again, targets will be the highs, but we do have a few areas where we could be looking at for targets. Target one, or not target one, but one of the targets you could have, a second one and a third one, depending on how many pips you want to catch. But I believe that if we do break through this trend line and get the break and retest, it's because the market wants to go bullish back to highs. And looking at the weekly, you can see we're throwing so many wicks to the downside, so I wouldn't be surprised if we're just seeing a continuation of this momentum for another move higher. So this will be the focus for the week ahead. Can we hold this? If we can, cool. We'll be looking for some shorts, targets back down at the same areas for the week ahead. For the week that's just gone, back down at 97,847. But if we do break above, then we'll change the bias because we've broken through that high, broken through the trend line. Then we'll be taking the longs to the upside, back up to 102,940 for next week. Okay, now pound USD. So this pair, again, more bullish momentum this week. Had a bearish bias for pound USD, was looking for the market to come a little bit higher into 1.26, but just underneath 1.26 into this level. Then from here, we'll be looking for shorts for the market to come lower. Did see a nice reaction from that level, but it was short-lived. The market respected these higher lows that the market was forming on the 4H, and as you can see, it has broken through that level. So now that we're above, we're looking for the market to push higher. We do have a lot of kind of empty space, if you will, here for pound USD, where the market could look to retrace. And the last time we found support before this big dump to the downside was up here at 1.3. So there's a long way the market could go and retrace before we do see some downside. On the 4H, there is another area we'll look at, which is 1.27500. This area here where we stalled briefly and then did see some strong momentum, but the real targets will be 1.3 up there for pound USD if we can stay above this level here. So for pound USD, bullish on this one, again expecting dollar weakness, so it does fit the mold of what we're looking for. And if we can maintain, because it does look like we're having a break and retest right now, kind of just as the market is close for the week, if we can maintain this coming into Monday, we'll be looking for longs. Again, depending how far I want to push the trade, 1.27500 will be the first target, but I'll try and see if I can capture that full swing into 1.3 up there. So that will be the plan for next week. Do have some trendline confluence as well, so we'll see how that gets on, but not really interested in the shorts. If we do get back below, then yeah, but if we do stay above, interested in the longs from 1.26, first target 1.275. and then we'll be looking at 1.3. So yeah, that will be the plan for pound USD for next week. And now we'll move on to pound CAD. So as you can see, some nice upside this week coming into our level there at 1.61600. This is the level that I gave out on my analysis last week. So some shorts could be looking good from here. Have seen some nice downside, but the bullish structure is still in place. As you can see, the higher highs and the higher lows here, and if that maintains like we've seen with pound USD, AUD, we can definitely break above this level and see some upside, which is where I'll look for a push into this level here, which was the low of the consolidation here, and this is where the real momentum came from for pound CAD. So break and retest of that, we'll be looking at 1.63300. But if we can break that bullish structure on the 4H and basically take out this trend line here, we can look for some shorts back down to lows, double top, something like that somewhere. Again, the structure hasn't really happened, so difficult to say what exactly the opportunity we'll be looking for, but we'll be looking for some lower high of some kind, and a push back down into 1.57800 is what I'll be looking for. If we do break to the upside and maintain this bullish structure here and break above that level of 1.61600, we'll be looking for the long play to the upside back up to 1.63300. So that's the plan for pound CAD, depending on what we do here, because if that bullish structure stays intact, we want to be looking for those longs on a break and retest. We don't want to try and force the shorts. even though we are rejecting that key level. But if the sellers can win, we break through the trend line, see some lower highs, we can get involved, and our targets will be down at those lows. So pound CAD, if we can maintain longs from 1.61800, if we break through the trend line, look for lower highs somewhere, maybe focus on this level here. Again, difficult to say what will happen, but there is a level there to look at, and looking for a push back down to lows at 1.57800. And that will be the plan for next week for pound CAD. Okay, so pound JPY up next. Now this pair isn't moving too well. We did see some strong bearish momentum not too long ago, but since then the market's kind of just moving sideways. It's still trying to figure out which way it wants to move next, which is why I'm going to be a little bit more patient with pound JPY. I can see a nice setup that could potentially happen. I need to see a lot more candlesticks being printed first before I do look to stick any long or any short entries on this one. We do have this key level running through the market, but you can see we're not really respecting it, kind of closing above, back below, back above, back below. So that level isn't really being respected. But on the weekly time frame, however, we do have this resistance here, which is being respected. You can see nice resistance, multiple wicks there, now being used as support. So from a weekly point of view, it does look like we could see some upside off the back of that simple break and retest, maintaining that bullish momentum. But on the daily, it does get a little bit choppy. So if we can see some levels being broken on the 4H and the daily, I will start to be looking for some long opportunities. You can see we are still maintaining these lower highs, so I'm waiting for the break of this trend line here, and then I'll start looking for some longs, because then we've got the break and retest in the weekly, we've got the break of the trend line here, we've got the break of structure, and then we can start entertaining some longs, and a push back into this resistance up here will be the target, which is 164. So this is kind of what I'm looking for. Nice resistance there where we're forming some lower highs. If we can snap above that, nice break and retest of that, and then some longs into 164. So that's what I'm looking for. But as you can see, I do need some development in this price action first. We well could respect this and come back down again, and then just continue this kind of range here. And if that is the case, I'll probably just avoid trading pound JPY. Maybe there might be some good trades, in the lower time frames, but from a swing point of view, working as bias, we need to see a bit more information than that. But if we can break the trend line, break through those highs, then a push to the upside, all the confluences meeting, weekly, daily, 4H are meeting, lining up, and then we can look for these longs on 161 and targeted to 164. So if we do see that break, we'll be looking for that for pound JPY. Otherwise, I'll kind of leave it alone for the week. But if you can get the break of 161, we'll look for the break and retest and targets at 164 for next week. Okay, so now on to gold. So gold this week, not too much for this one. Did see some nice upside. Again, the main areas we were focusing for gold was this high here and this high up here. The market kind of blew straight through that level there earlier in the week. So you can see the second level here, 1870, 1868, is what's holding the market here quite nicely. So I'm going to be focusing on the 1870. The market's respecting that area, seeing some nice rejection. If we can maintain that, I do believe we could be on for that next down leg for gold, back down into 1790, back into these lows here where those wicks are collecting. I just draw that out for you guys there, as you can see. So back down into there, but if we do break above, then we might see a bit of life come back into gold and some upside, because if dollar is going to see some more weakness, then you would expect gold to see some upside. So we have to break above this level, and then we can look for some longs, and targets for this one will be back up into this support here at 1915, is that 1917 we'll call it. So this will be the focus for the week, this level here. So jumping onto the 4H, you can see the market isn't moving too well, kind of a little bit sideways now, but you're just going to see what happens at this level. Again, can we respect it for that double top? See some downside. Again, multiple areas where you can target, support there you can target, support there you can target, and then finally we'll look at 1785 down there. But again, you can take it as it comes. You don't have to look for the full swing, but that will be the kind of the overall target for gold. If we hold, if we don't, and we maintain that momentum and dollar keeps falling, then you would expect to see some upside for gold. 1870 will be the break and retest level, looking for those bullish entries, those long entries, and 1915, 1917 basically that zone there is what we'll target for those longs. So focus on the week will be this 1870 level, shorts if you can hold and buys if you can break through. Again, not as much information as I'd like to really favor a bias. I'm still kind of favoring the shorts, but I need to see what happens there. And if dollar does fall, then I quickly will change my bias to longs if we can get that break and retest entry there. So that will be the focus for the upcoming week for gold. And last but not least, Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, again, just more consolidation for this one. Again, the market is still bearish. Momentum is still with the bears. I mean, the momentum is kind of dying out, but the recent drop, the recent impulsive move was with the bears. So the bears are still, in control of this market, despite us moving sideways. And the reason we're doing that is because we are trading at a critical area where you would expect some buyers to be coming in and some sellers to be backing out, taking some profit. So we are trading at this key support. You can see if I zoom out a little bit there, this is a key support level, 30k, where the market has bounced from very, very aggressively in the past. But the sellers are still winning. If I jump to the 4H, you can see we are still printing these lower highs in the market, which is still showing us that the sellers are winning. But again, not going to look too much into that. I'm favoring the break to the downside, but we'll have to wait for the break to the downside to happen before we do look for any entries or anything. But targets will be at the bottom of this wick, and then secondary targets will be at 19k. Reason being, that was the last major swing high for Bitcoin. Back in 2017, I believe, December 2017. So this is where I would target from a swing point of view. Even that target would be, a nice target to have. But if you do break to the downside, nice break and retest of that 28,650 level first, and then second target. If we do break to the upside, we'll be looking at a push into this level here, that recent swing low, broke that, then we've got the retest. So if you do break to the upside of the range again, which is at 31,500, we'll look for some longs to the upside there as well. But like I said, I'm favoring price to break to the downside, but we'll have to see what happens. Anything can happen in a range like that, and not really trying to get involved in this area. Too much indecision, and we don't really have too much of an edge in there. We're going to wait for our edge to come through. So break and retest of the lows, one target there, bottom of the wick, 25k, 25,400 to be more exact, and then 19,700 down there for the second target. Then if you get the longs, 35k up there. So that is still the plan, same as last week, still consolidating, so nothing's really changed. But yeah, same plan as last week for Bitcoin into the week ahead. Okay guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed that, found that useful. Again, if you do agree with my bias or have different biases and want to share them, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you have any questions as well, let me know down in the comments and I will get back to you. But if you are enjoying the content, please leave a like. It does help the channel out. Subscribe, share, comment, do all that good stuff. It does really help the channel out. And also hit the bell as well, so you don't want to miss out on any streams or any uploads in the future, so you can stay in the loop. But hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Please enjoy your weekend, and I'll catch you all for next week.